Hello, folks. Welcome to the 13th edition of Reality Bytes. Yeah, this is June 23, and here's a rundown of what happened in the last 2 weeks in the space of VR, AR, XR, and all those realities. And yeah, moving on. So, since I'm sort of starting to post these on YouTube and all the social medias majorly, I had to look for a logo. Yes, you would have seen in the first slide that we have a logo built. Uh, Shout out to Prajeev, who I used to work with earlier for designing this logo. Thanks so much, Prajeev. But yeah, I just wanted to try. I mean, there is this new software from OpenAI called Dolly, and Dolly, the second edition of it. I asked it, can you build a logo for Reality Bytes? And it came up with some really interesting sort of set of like uh, computer generated images. Out of which these two really look well. It's like a casual man eating, like drinking a sip of tea or coffee, and like wearing a headset and showing something to you, a card, and probably some sort of thing on his hand. Yeah, that's go check out my handle at Karan Ganesan. Like there is a ton of renders that I tried, and like it's really good in sort of generating these generative things. So yeah, that's just quick thing. Yeah, so what happened to the 12th edition? So earlier I used to tweet all the slides and sort of did like sort of thing, right? But like last 2 weeks back, like I started doing an experiment where I built the whole thing on like FigJam. It's like a canvas where you can add stuff. I sort of tried to experiment with this format where I built like a FigJam board with all the news in it, and then I went inside and covered each one of these. Uh, yeah, it's linked over here, bit.ly/reality bytes 12 if anyone wants to take a look at what happened in the last edition of Reality Bytes. There is a ton of really interesting stuff from Apple and like Meta, Epic Games, and XR Guild and stuff like that. Yeah, that's what happened in the last edition. But moving on, so yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I've tried to get hold of all the handles that I was able to get on like Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, like at the rate Reality and Bytes. YouTube is still work in progress. Since this is the first video that's going to go live, I would need like, I guess, 100 followers to sort of keep like a channel sort of sublink, like sort of properly name it with the URL. So yeah, that's that. Like go follow, just search for Reality Bytes or Reality and Bytes as a handle, and you'll be able to find it on all these platforms. And these are also clickable, so yeah, you can go and find it anytime. This slide will also be posted alongside this YouTube video in the description. Yeah, yeah. Go do your thing. I've been doing this like like 13 into 2 weeks, like 26, like 26, like for the past 26 weeks, and before this also it was a text-based version. Uh, I've seen a lot of interest internally, like at the company that I used to work earlier, and also on the Twitter, public crowd sort of liking this. Would love to see more sort of people sort of trying viewing this video and even giving me some suggestions and feedback over what should I do next, or what is good, what is bad, and stuff like that. Yeah, moving on. The first story of the day is around like what I mean, there's a ton of things that we're going to discuss that Meta sort of announced and sort of released. So yeah, let's go on. So there was a huge set of prototypes being released by Meta, sort of showing off a ton of research that they have done in the space of VR and AR. Like sort of each one sort of having its own sort of under like use cases and stuff. So one of the main things that they talked about is something called visual Turing test. We know what a Turing test is, right? So basically, it is like a test where you understand if it's a computer or a human, like if a computer can be as a human and talk to a human, as realistic as possible. Similar to that, visual Turing test is a concept where what if the display technology, the resolution, the way, the focal length is indistinguishable from the reality also. They like the company Meta, like Mark Zuckerberg and Boaz and the other research directors from Display Tech at Meta Reality Labs talked a lot about how they are going to achieve, how they are trying to achieve these in the like next few years on the prototypes that they made and like stuff like that. So I'll just play a quick video on what they are envisioning and what the prototypes that they built on around.
We've come a long way with VR displays, but what's keeping us from creating an experience that is indistinguishable from reality? All of our work in Reality Labs is based around this idea of passing the visual Turing test to make VR headsets look completely real.
We've put together a series of research prototypes that address different design challenges. Our latest prototype can actually approach the retinal resolution of the eye.
We've developed varifocal lenses that can track your eye position to correctly focus in a 3D synthetic environment.
Then we can create a distortion-free experience that more closely matches what our brains expect. Our HDR prototype is an exploration of real-world brightness in VR.
The ultimate headset would need to be nearly weightless. By combining holographic lenses and pancake optics, we've achieved a dramatic reduction in size and weight.
We're finally at a point to combine all this research into a next-generation research prototype. And it's inevitable for us to take this leap beyond 2D.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, as you saw in the video, they did a bunch of announcements on the prototypes that they had. Just to highlight a few, right? So there were multiple things from hollow cake, butterscotch, like half dome, and and stuff like that. Each one sort of have its own unique capability that every VR enthusiast today sort of looks forward to. The HDR one is like really high clarity, high definition, like super high nits sort of display. 60 ppd is like it's like you can read text out of a newspaper or like a piece of table or a paper in VR. Like today, it is blurry, of course, in Quest 2 and other devices that we have today, but that's like some great achievement. And varifocal is like, let's say you focus on like there are two objects in front of you, but if you focus on one, the other will automatically get blurred out, like your vision works like that. But that has to be simulated in VR also using eye tracking and like VR like resolution. So that's what varifocal is. And the hollow cake 2 is like a really small working research prototype that they have built like in-house to sort of see if all these technologies can be put together and sort of seen. So that's what hollow cake 2 is. So yeah, it's like an interesting set of prototypes. There is a 1 hour talk that they did, and that is Adam Savage's tested YouTube channel. They also sort of went to the lab, tried it out, and they talked to Mark and like sort of explained, tried these out, and sort of even stuff like that. Go check out the tested video if you want to deep dive, or go to like the Meta's official like, communications itself to sort of see the like sort of official announcement. So yeah, that's like the update on the headsets that they released from Meta. Uh, yeah, so the next slide is about like a video that Meta released on the vision of Metaverse, like use cases that you can use with the VR AR system ecosystem that they were building and stuff like that. It's like a quick 30 seconds.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day, this lecture hall will be made of code. And though they're virtual students, what they'll learn together is real. The surgeon will be able to practice as many times as needed in the metaverse before laying her hands on a real patient. These students aren't really back in 32 BCE, but they can still watch Mark Antony debate in ancient Rome. The metaverse may be virtual, but the impact will be real.
Yeah, so one thing I
Lecture
would
hall
want
will be made of code.
point out is like here, they don't seem to wear a glass except for this person, this given that person, but at the moment we don't have glasses that are as small as what these folks are wearing in the video. But that's the goal, right? So it's a concept video, but yeah, that's just a heads up. Moving on. So we have been talking about a lot of future stuff, but at the moment there is a sale going on called summer sale in the Oculus store. There are a ton of really good games from Golf VR to 11 VR to like the Resident Evil stuff, and like a lot of things, the standalone based like games, Nuke and games like those. Go check it out. There are a lot of bundles, there are a lot of deals, and each of the game was like 20 to 30% off at them like from the MRP and stuff like that. If you own a Quest 2 or like a PC VR, you should go try getting one of these to experience VR today. So that's today Quest 2 is the only way, and the like the least you like interesting, like the not interesting, it's the least friction way to sort of try VR today and sort of just go get it and sort of try it, sort of $199. So that's the update, like that's the sale that the Meta is sort of hosting for the Quest 2. Also, Meta did launch like a clothing store where you can purchase outfits for your avatar. It's an interesting start. A lot of brands like Balenciaga, Prada, and sort of other brands are like sort of collaborating on this. Uh, my the way that I'm looking at this is that uh, I guess like there will be a big transformation in the fashion industry where it's probably going to be like you design your own clothes and sort of get it delivered with you, uh, and then also probably use it as an avatar skin in your games and metaverse. So this is just a start with that, where you can sort of try out different clothes and buy it and keep it for you, sort of thing. So that's avatars from Meta. And then also there was an interesting prototype from the research world of like when the research team at Meta, where they used an iPhone to capture like a neutral, like no expression face and like and with expression face, and that sort of converts as a 3D model where it can be used in VR for realistic avatars. It's still in research, of course, but it's an interesting uh, sort of uh, like interesting way to look at it on how avatars can be generated from like photorealistic images, and even the end output of an avatar is like a really good photorealistic face reconstruction. So that's like a prototype from the Meta research team. Yeah. Moving forward, so a bunch of companies, including the names that you see on the screen, have come together and sort of built this Metaverse Standards Forum, where they plan on working on the standards that are gonna be the foundational parts of like how the metaverse is gonna be. Like it's like so you can also see Chronos in this list, third row, second column. So Chronos is the like standards body that has been doing standards for the GLTF, WebGL, OpenGL, and all those things. Metaverse standards is like for the metaverse, as you can see from the name, but also working with these companies to ensure that the interoperability works, the content sharing works in between the worlds and stuff like that. So it's still too early to see any output from sort of these standards group, but it is interesting to see all these companies coming together and sort of looking to work on these protocols and like standards. So yeah, that's like the Metaverse Standards Forum. Yeah, moving on. Yeah, there was an interesting blog video, 17-minute video from Bloomberg, where they talk about what's the future of work is going to be like, right? What is the transformation is going to be like? Some really interesting uh, sort of people from the VR industry where are here sort of speaking on what the current situation is, right? From Frame VR that you are seeing on screen to Apple showing the like sort of like these sort of things in the presentations to Meta's like concepts on how it's going to look like and like stuff like that, and how the enterprise world is go looking like and things like that. So yeah, go watch it in your free time. It's like a really cool session on like what the current state of like working in VR means and what events look like in metaverse, like in the current VR and AR, current VR situation is, and things like that. So yeah, that's that. Moving on. There is this person called Kent Byte. He runs this podcast called Humans, like Humans of VR or something. I forgot. But he sort of released this 8 book sort of ethics papers, where he goes around and talks about how ethics should be done in like business, finance, in VR, social VR, governance, how the governance should work inside, how the identity should be properly done, and stuff like that. I haven't gotten a chance to read it, but it's a really interesting uh, effort to sort of have these principles up hand, right, and sort of read through and stuff. Yeah, the podcast name is Voices of VR. So he used to talk to a lot of industry people, understand their use cases, understand their things that they work on, and like these is a really great guy, Kent. So yeah, go check out these IEEE Ethics of Extended Reality papers, and it's really interesting to see this come to life. Yeah, yeah. So just to keep on like a reality check, right? Uh, so this graph shows the Google search is like Google search trends on the keywords metaverse, VR, and virtual reality. So as you can see, the top one is still VR, because it's a short form for virtual reality, of course, and people use that a lot in a various different contexts. So that's the topmost search thing among these three. And then the line between metaverse and virtual reality are sort of almost the same after March 6. And like before that, when the whole metaverse and the meta sort of conversation started to happen, the metaverse sort of kicked up a bit. So yeah, that's just like a small graph. Yeah, and then about XR Guild, right? I think I mentioned this in the Reality Bytes 12 also, that XR Guild is a community where like-minded people, enthusiasts across the world who are like interested in VR, AR, XR have come like can come together and sort of join this sort of XR Guild to sort of attend meetups that we are planning to host, attend the monthly calls, and like sort of get opportunities, get mentorship, and stuff like that. So so at AWE 2022, a couple of like probably like 10 to 15 days back, which happened, there was like an introduction to this the XR Guild was given by Avi Barzi. You folks should go check it out on the understanding the basic fundamental need of this community called XR Guild, why a community is needed, what are the goals and the vision of the community is, and stuff like that. Go check it out. And like there was a panel who are the founding members of the XR Guild sort of talking about why this is needed, and we sort of going through. And there were like couple of people who were not able to come there also, like talk, like Tony Parisi and Amy Peck sort of talking about uh, why this is needed and stuff like that. Yeah, you folks good show, check it out in your own time. But yeah, that's like a quick update on Exakil. Yeah, moving on. Yeah, so one of the Chinese news company asked Tim Cook about uh, what are the plans about the AR headset, and uh, I'll just play the video on what Tim Cook.
I couldn't be more excited about the opportunities we see in this space, and sort of stay tuned, and you'll see what we have to offer.
Yeah, so what he replied, the question was around what the AR headset is gonna be like, when is the AR headset actually coming for the developers and stuff like that. The answer that he gave in exact words were sort of stay tuned and you'll see what we have to have for. So it's a for the very first time. I mean, apart from the like uh, job like descriptions, right? That Tim Cook himself is sort of telling that sort of stay tuned and you'll see what we have to offer on exactly the question for like AR headsets for developers and like creators and like of course the public. So yeah, that's just like a small thing that I came across that was very interesting to see. And there's been a lot of course, hints on what they're working on, reality OS and stuff like that. But there's like a spot on question, and like this is a spot on answer on acknowledging that they are working on it and it's gonna come soon. And he's very excited, and I'm very excited. So yeah. Yeah. So there's this Netflix show called The Future of. I'm yet to watch this, but there is a 22-minute session on it about the future of gaming, and they cover a lot of VR stuff with the Quest 2, the AR stuff with the spectacles. A lot of industry people got featured, and yeah, I'm excited to see this like over the weekend. But yeah, go check out the Future TV series on Netflix. Yeah, yeah, that's about it. Thanks for joining. Thanks for staying till the end. Go follow Reality and Bytes across all platforms. And yeah, hoping to do more. And bye bye, peace, and see you in like 2 weeks again.